All right, I'm gonna make it
Oh, Karen,
live.
it's Carol. I can't talk right now, so I'll call you later. Okay, sure.
My
Bye-bye.
phone just gave me a notice that I'm supposed to be here.
Excellent.
Like,
You're here.
you have a committee of the whole meeting?
We got it.
Check. Okay,
We're gonna
got
have
it.
all, we're gonna have all 7. Okay, we are
Nice.
live. Whatever you have right now.
No monkeypox here going on or anything like that? Okay, just checking.
I have a small
Hopefully not.
rash here in my arm.
Oh, my God, Deb.
You have what? I'm
She's
kidding.
making me
I'm
nuts,
kidding.
what she's doing.
Oh, yeah.
I printed it out too. And application. He's here.
There you are.
No, she has to practice every once in a while.
Oh, that's
Be
good.
Ready.
That's good.
Kim, I met your husband on the garden walk.
Yeah.
He's quite the gardener. He was a wealth of knowledge. Uh-huh. Everybody looks very healthy around the table. It's very nice. Everybody's got some sun. Everybody looks
I
good.
went to the pool today for the first time. Oh,
Really? Rack?
No, because they have weird hours today. At least supposed to weird hours.
Yeah.
So we went over to Pioneer.
Nice. Was it crowded?
No.
I walked by the
Super
past 2
empty.
days and it was very empty. I was
Yeah.
like,
People are
Oh,
on
yes.
the way.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
It's their last
Oh.
round. Yeah. Well, our cousins, my cousin and her boys are in town. So her boys and my boys fit kind of like that. So
Well, that's a
we
fun
went,
thing.
we
for
went to
them
the
do.
pool. Yeah. Just for like an hour or two. Yeah.
That's good.
Got all the sun.
You got some.
Okay, come on.
Here, I sent
There
you-
she
I sent you
is.
a-
Right.
I sent you a one.
Okay, let's call the order of the Board of Library Trustees Committee of the Whole meeting for Monday, August 1st, 2022. Welcome to August. Roll call, please.
Trustee Gallo.
Here.
Trustee Meadow.
Here.
Trustee Rule.
Here.
Trustee Smart.
Present.
Trustee Samari.
Here.
Trustee Suplet.
Here.
President Fig.
Here, full house. All right. Any public comments?
Where is she?
It's the village board meeting tonight.
Yes. Can I introduce Dana?
Right.
Absolutely. I'd like to officially introduce all of you to Dana Rabia. Dana is our new deputy director. Started last Tuesday. So please, say hi after the meeting if you can. So that's just wanted to introduce. Welcome.
Mhm.
Welcome. Okay, let's go on to item 1. Proposed revisions to policy 2.006 code of ethics. Okay, so this is a continued conversation from our July board meeting regarding the ALA code of ethics policy and the adoption of that. I did take the changes back that were suggested at the last meeting, and we talked about it among staff. What I'm bringing here is a recommendation to adopt the policy as ALA has adopted it and change the preface of the policy to state that the Board of Library Trustees adopts instead of endorses the American Library Association's Code of Ethics and expects the trustees and staff to interpret the code as appropriate for our library environment. So we're maintaining what the ALA has put out for their policy, but then saying that we're going to adopt it or we're going to interpret that as we see appropriate for our library. So I'm hoping I'm getting to the same spirit of what the discussion was at the board meeting, but just without modifying ALA's code of ethics.
And we did confirm correct through Illinois Library Association that they also expect us as a member
Yes.
to endorse ALA's policy.
Yeah, sorry. So in the memo here, I did include that adopting the ALA Code of Ethics is a core standard of the Illinois Library standards in the core standards that we agree to every year. So I just wanted to call that out as well.
Why did we strike the alike?
Oh, I think
Staff alike.
we can keep
No,
I'm
it's not
curious.
necessary.
Not
Yeah.
necessary.
So, okay.
It's just one
I
of
thought it
those
was superfluous. word.
Yeah,
extra.
that's what I was kind of thinking. I didn't know if there was anything else I was missing. All right, thank you.
So, sure, go ahead.
How do you want to do this? Just talk.
Yeah,
Okay. So I get it, and you did a great job under the circumstances. Now, my question is, and when you look at this letter, so we're a year behind in terms of the discussion, which, what are you going to say? Nevertheless, would it be meaningful for our president to write them a letter identifying what we saw as the limitations of the policy? Would it
No.
matter?
No,
So this is
because
done,
it'd be sent to staff and this is council action.
Correct.
right?
So it would just get lost in the shuffle. I think it'd be a
So there's
waste of time.
Yeah, we
really.
would.
That's why we need somebody now to run for ALA council on the board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And forgive me, since I missed last meeting, your concerns was really the tone of the language.
Well, no, to me, it's beyond assertive, it's aggressive. And it says libraries should do this, but the libraries is the librarians. And I don't agree that the librarians should be confronting people. To academic and individual biases. I don't think it's the librarian's responsibility to dismantle it. I mean, yes, we want to recognize, and I can't even remember, we came up with some, I think more appropriate language, but I don't think it's their job to confront patrons, that was the issues I took with the language, is that it was confrontational and aggressive, and I don't think it's a position in which the librarian should be placed. And there was a better way of phrasing it to get to the same result.
President Zick, I know part of this is going to be surrounded by some training that we're doing, correct?
Correct.
So I'm hoping that in the training, we can address Trustee Suplet's concerns in the fact that we don't want our people to think they're policemen or women or ethics men and women. I think they don't have the skill set to do that. So that's what I think would make us all feel a little more comfortable in this process.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, and then you probably were in there. If you went into the website, then they got the toolkit
Oh, yeah.
on how to manage the stuff. And the toolkit's very reasoned. But the
Yeah.
toolkit, to me, does not align with the principle as written.
Right.
I mean, yes, you need training to know how to manage confrontational customers in every business. And so that's very helpful, but it almost, to me, contradicts the message that's being sent in the language that's used in this ninth principle. But having said all that twice now, it doesn't matter.
We're stuck.
Well, I think there's two things here. Well, okay, so one, the change that you put into here, Mike, first, it expects the trustees and staff to interpret the code as appropriate for a library environment. So I think that gives us a little bit of leeway with how we're dealing with situations. I mean, was that the intention behind that?
Exactly.
Intention behind it? Okay. So we do have that. So I think that helps. But then the other thing I'm thinking is, okay, let's forget about the biases and what Nine is talking about here. Somebody comes in here and they're behaving unruly for some other particular instance. Okay, they're yelling excessively or whatever. What's our policy? What are we going to do with that stuff?
Well, staff would approach them and talk to them, find out, don't, calm down or whatever. If it escalates beyond a simple conversation, then security would approach them. If that then escalates, they're in violation of code of conduct and they would be suspended. We have a layered level of suspension. So the first offense, it might be a day, not a day, then a week, then a month, then a year, depending upon how many recurring offenses they've had.
Okay.
Yeah, they presented us with that decision tree a couple of years ago, actually. It was good.
So the point I'm getting at though is bringing it out right now is how would that be any different than dealing with this type of thing? Would we have, to Trustee Smart's, question, would there be different type of approach to that with different type of training?
No, if someone's, blatantly offensive or, saying something that's bothering others or, being, some of these things in here, like, if they're being, well, we've had many conversations like this with staff about what's the difference in their beliefs versus how they're treating other people or talking to other people. There's a line there. And so staff, determine if they're being offensive and, openly offensive to other people on purpose, or they're speaking their beliefs, as in, I'm looking for a book that doesn't have this topic, but does have this topic. That's what they want. We're going to provide them that service. If they're saying, I don't want you to serve me because you're of this race or something like that, that it's a direct attack on someone, that's code of conduct. Then that would be handled differently.
Sure. No, thank you for the suggestions. Just me, like personally looking at this, I feel that the language really speaks to the library culture and the individual. As more as that, that this is we as a library, like in myself, like individual bias. I look at myself and in our library are systemic biases. So, and this may be perception. I don't necessarily take it that it's like, an act of a librarian to go and march out and dismantle something, but more in our library, we respect the individual, the inherent dignity and rights of every person. And for ourselves and this library, we will look at our policies and make sure they're not discriminatory, biased anyway. So I'm comfortable with this just in that, I guess, that perspective.
It's a great point, Sarah, and like dialing it in versus like this whole, like, you're not gonna be able to change, who votes where in districts and things like that. That's not the job of the library. But when you dial it in to our programming and our interactions with customers and things like that, then yeah, it is about, when we encounter racist behavior or lack of understanding one another. I've talked about it, like I'm not going to remember the name of it, but the human library, I think is what the program is. And like, I really, sorry, my 4-year-old just came out there for a second. I would love to bring that to Arlington Heights. And that speaks to this exactly, what is someone's stories, and we're all given recordings that we regurgitate, whether we realize it or not, these underlying biases that we hold. And I think it's important that we're reminded and do put it in the context of what's appropriate. No, I don't think that when ALA put this together, they expected us to go start marching or protesting or making phone calls to, politicians or something like that. But within
There may be some that
Actually,
disagree.
right, yeah.
all right,
That
some
was-
people do that.
I can tell you.
That was part of the conversation.
And I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm just saying, and like as a library, we're not going to be like, hey, we're all going to call this person or call, I don't know. But I think that I'm babbling at the moment, but I think that when we dial it into making sure that our systems within our library show that we are, equal and giving equal opportunities and inclusion to all of our staff and to our customers.
And I watched the entire meeting last time, although I couldn't, talk. I guess don't we do this? We affirm the inherent dignity and rights of every person. Don't we already do that? Don't we work? I mean, in the past few years, clearly, given our, our mission statement, we work to recognize and dismantle systematic and individual biases. I feel like we've made special efforts, and that doesn't mean like, I'm going to say, Mike, I think you might not like Irish people. It means that as a library, we're working to make sure our collection is inclusive. We certainly did that with the new children's. I just feel like we do this, and dismantle systematic, like we can't change the whole wide world, but we can try to make the Arlington Heights Memorial Library and the people that represent the library, which is the staff and us, be recognize inherent dignity and rights of everyone. I guess I don't find it that controversial. And I'm also curious, have you had many instances where you do have to have, I'm assuming it ends with the police come?
No, for this type of thing,
Yeah.
no. No, and I think, our approach really, and Mary has used this phrase many times, as far as the things that exactly they're talking about in paragraph 9. So our goal is to inspire understanding, is to, provide as many perspectives and views that we can as an organization, as an educational organization, and a community organization. Our goal is, we're not out there rioting or picketing or nothing like that to, be more aggressive. Our goal is to educate,
Right.
inspire.
Well, and I would say, and I've heard people say, oh, the League of Women Voters, they really have an agenda, whatever. Well, we allow them to host candidate forums. They invite all the candidates. It's not like they discriminate against candidates. And that's a service to our community to hear about the school board, candidates, trustees, library board, all of the government of Arlington Heights. So I guess and I don't know that we can make people understand, but we can present the information, and people individually have to take it or not.
Right.
But we're presenting, different perspectives. That's kind of how I look at it.
You're right on.
Okay. Okay, good. Good conversation. This is the type of stuff that we want to make sure that we're doing it right too. Even though they're just words, the words can be very important. So how we interpret it. And I do like the addition of that sentence in there to interpret the code. I think that helps quite a bit. Okay. Where are we? Let's go on to item 2, 2023 holiday dates and closings.
Okay, so around this time of year, every year, we approve the following year's holiday and closing schedule. So what is presented to you here is the schedule for next year. Just a couple things to note. Juneteenth, library will not be closed, but it is a paid holiday. That is pretty consistent with what other libraries are doing. There's a couple other libraries that do close on Juneteenth, mostly smaller libraries. I believe Oak Park is closed on Juneteenth, but probably about 80 to 90% of libraries remain open. And the only reason I call that one out is because it's a new one. And last year when we discussed, we were a little unsure about that. Columbus Day, not represented here. Last year we moved that to a observance day. So just want to make note of that as well. And even though we close at 6 o'clock on New Year's Eve, it's a Sunday, we're still asking to close an hour early at 5 o'clock. Historically, we've closed at 5 o'clock on New Year's Eve. So do you guys have any questions?
I have a question. So the staff development day, the library's closed, obviously, because staff is getting developed, but why does it say no paid holiday? Is it just a regular rate? And
It
not
is
a holiday
not like a
rate?
floating, not like a holiday, like if you don't attend, you'll get another paid day
I
off.
see what you're saying.
It is
Okay,
just if you attend, you get paid.
got it.
On this board, but when you say library closed, no, but the paid holiday, yes.
Right.
So what does that mean?
And so the library's open, but you get a floating holiday that you can use at another time. So we want everybody to have the day off, a day off, but maybe not that day off. And so you can use that floating holiday on that date, but the library is open.
So those are, so we've got 3 of them on here, plus there's the 2 observance days and floating holidays, so that's 5 floating holidays
Correct.
that they get during the year.
Yep.
Is that correct?
Mhm.
Okay.
And is this for all staff or only full-time staff?
Benefited staff.
Remind me, what does it take to qualify for benefits?
It's full-time staff with holidays. So I don't think part-time. But we are going to be making some changes to those HR policies that we'll be bringing before the end of the year for consideration.
Only that's a concern that some staff have, that, there's opportunities to become full-time and the benefits and perks that come with being a full-time.
Yeah, right.
person. And I think that benefits our community as well.
Mhm.
Sorry, it's a side thing, but.
Yeah, and that's something we've evaluated over the last few years, is trying to move more part-time positions to full-time positions. With COVID, obviously, everything changed.
Sure.
So, we have been evaluating that. We have made some changes.
Cool.
Very good. Anything else on that one? All right, let's move on to item 3. So the 2023 board meeting schedule.
Yes, so again, this is another one around this time of year. We set the meeting schedule for next year. A couple of them that you might consider moving is January 2nd. Committee of the whole, move that to the 3rd or the 9th, just because it's immediately following the New Year's holiday. July 3rd, Committee of the whole, right before the 4th of July, could move that to the 10th. And September 4th is Labor Day, and then we had a Committee of the whole meeting back to the 5th for the 11th, just as suggestions. But
President Zick,
that's it.
can we consider perhaps, because we did cancel July, I think almost 2 years in a row now, and perhaps can we consider not having January? I mean, I think we actually canceled that at least once a time.
Mhm.
I mean, I think we're hardworking people. I think we do a good job. We know what's going on, but I think it would be beneficial to staff who has to put props to these things, us who has important things around certain holidays, that maybe we just consider eliminating those 2 cows.
I think that's a good idea.
The thing I would say is that I'm comfortable with not meeting on those days, but as opposed to looking forward to the future, leaving them in the matrix so that every year each board can decide for themselves.
This is only for 2023.
Because what we've done in the past is we've always had them in there, but we've eliminated them when necessary. So they're placeholders more than anything. And if we do, yes, you're right, January 2nd or 3rd, more often than not, we wind up canceling that one. The July 4th one, I don't know if we've ever had.
Cancel it every year.
Maybe we cancel every year too.
My only, just a thought, devil's advocate, whatever, like what, all right, we cancel it for 2023, but something comes up that's hot. I don't know what it would be, but something.
Call
It
special
will come
meeting.
up 2 weeks later at the board meeting.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, could bring it to the board.
Yeah,
And if it was an action item and the board didn't feel like they could take action, then they delay it till the next month, yeah. So I'm all for canceling.
Fair enough.
So let's
January.
take a strong poll here. Who would be in favor of canceling this? Raise your hands.
I guess. I don't know. I just have to think.
Don't feel
sometimes.
pressure.
So,
Don't feel
I mean,
pressure. And you're gonna get another meeting talking. Think about it too.
okay, this is straw poll, so I'm just like,
Yeah.
yes.
And how much is gonna come up in December for January?
Yeah, I definitely
Yeah.
think the January one.
Yeah,
Yes, and-
because of the
I
holidays.
just, the
nobody's busy.
placeholder thing gets me, like, I don't mind
Yeah.
canceling, it's just like, I feel like even constituents, like,
Well-
hey, oh, we know there's a meeting here, so we'll plan to bring it here. But at this point to everybody preparing, I get that, like, I see both.
And to give it context, this is the calendar for next year,
right.
right? So
Is there ever an opportunity, say, something came up and we decided, oh, it would be good to have a cow before the July meeting. Could we have a cow by Zoom?
It would be considered a special meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And what's,
what is,
when does that
You
have
can't
to be?
conduct
48
business on-
hours?
Yeah, 48 hours, but you
48.
can't conduct a vote.
right, but you don't conduct
Well,
a
a
vote on
special
a
meeting
cow
you could.
anybody.
Yeah, but.
You could at a special meeting if it was on the agenda. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You can't really Zoom, well, you can right now
Well,
because.
you
the
can
article
now
goes-
because the governor still hasn't lifted it.
Right.
No,
No.
I think he
You extended it.
extended it.
But there has to be extenuating circumstances to do that. And if we consistently meet in person and then meet once in Zoom, I don't know that fits.
I
So I
agree.
would say.
Well, I
you
guess
want
it
to do
doesn't
in
help the staff not prepare any. I was just trying to think of like,
We have had special meetings in the past, but we
Right.
haven't had them in years.
Yeah, I think COVID was last.
Yeah.
right at
No,
the
we had a
beginning of
special
COVID.
meeting in May.
Wait, what was that about?
Yeah, what was that about?
Wow, talk about short memories.
I haven't had one in years.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, in May.
Yeah, we did.
The second one.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Okay, so I think we're all in agreement that we can, January and July is how we can do without. And you know what, if something hot comes up, we'll throw it back, we'll throw it back in. Now, the other one though is do we want to do it the day after Labor Day on September 5th? Or do we want to move it out? Problem with moving out to the next week is then we only have 1 week to anything that comes up.
I say do it on the 5th.
yeah, I think the fifth.
That's budget time. We have to.
Right.
Yeah.
That's it. Okay, so we'll put that on the 5th and we'll knock out the other two.
Sounds good.
Sound good? Okay. Any quick one for the open meeting. Any other?
Just what's on the agenda here, we have the Arlington Heights Park District Board of Commissioners joint meeting scheduled for Saturday, October 15th at 8:30 a.m. at Arlington Lakes Golf Club.
Else?
I have another, just a couple things. So I went on the garden walk with the Arlington Heights, garden club, and the staff here, Ron and Catalina,
Yeah.
they were awesome. I thought they did such a great job. And they also talked about how the Maker Place has the option for people to bring food or garden things that they want to share with people, split plants and stuff. And one of the women that was there also mentioned, and I don't know if you've ever talked about this before, some of the trees on the side of the building where the butterfly garden is now need some work. And she was like, oh, I was just at the forester for Arlington Heights. Why doesn't he help us? I don't know. It just seems like there should be a connection there because some of the trees around seem to need some work. And since we have a forester in town, and it wasn't Catalina, it was like a volunteer that was there that suggested that, but I thought that was a
Didn't the
great.
forester help us with the Maker
I was
Place?
going to say they've been very generous
Yeah.
in their time with the Makerspace. So
Yeah,
we can reach out to them. and see
yeah,
if
I don't
they-
know. They were mentioning that the trees needed some work and they were hoping that the forester could tell them exactly the right things to do.
Okay.
So I thought that was a good
Yeah.
thing.
Anything else?
I'm pretty excited about the One Village, One Book, which I figured out from
Absolutely.
who we paid the money to.
Wow, spoiler alert.
Yeah, right. And it was also in the.
It was in the Monday.
Oh, grapevine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's in the grapevine.
It's in the grapevine today.
we won't say it out loud in case anyone's watching the meeting.
She's fantastic.
Okay, can we have a motion then to go into closed session, please?
Can we take a 5-minute break just so everybody has an opportunity to say hi to
Sure.
them?
5-minute break. Go for it. Will be part of other.
So okay.
Part of other.
Oh, okay.
Maybe it's part of other.
Oh, oh, yeah.
We're talking about where you live? Where is it? What happens when you're late?
That's right. I opened it for the computer. I forgot your thank you card, sorry. It was a mess. I forgot my phone, I forgot my thank you card.
That's a I might, for traffic. Ah, yeah, well, it is crazy. Really, so you can tell there's so many keys.
And
That's right.
I got a little phone. You got my phone?
My brother used to live on Genie Lodge. He's
Okay, so now let's need a motion to go into closed session, please.
You can go.
Have a great night.
I'll move that we go into closed
We don't
session in
forget
accordance with five
Where's my phone?
ILCS one
And we will-
twenty
we will
two
keep-
C one, review of some executive director's performance goals.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay, we are now in closed session.
says it's recording. Is that appropriate?
I'm. Okay, we are back. You want to know that? Oh, yes, please.
You can have that back.
Thanks.
I think I just pressed this button. Okay, we are back in open session for the Arlington Heights Memorial Library Board of Trustees.
Roll call.
Committee of the whole meeting for August 1st, 2022. Trustees do a quick roll call, please.
John Stufflet.
Amy Samari, Andy Rule,
Carol Meadow,
Sarah Gallo.
Debbie Smart.
Greg Zick, and Mike Driscoll is here. I don't know why I would have put this away already.
I move approval of the minutes from tonight's closed session.
Yes.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay, and do we have a motion for adjournment?
so moved.
I still move to be adjourned. Our second Carol, whatever.
Do we, okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And we are done.
Carol moved and Andy seconded the end of the meeting.
There's a lot of
Julie,
seconds in
just
that
for
one.
you.
And Carol jumped in first for the,
I couldn't get it out.